it going, everyone, and welcome to the 12th episode of the Geek Inspired podcast with me, your host Giannis, right here on the Chewns. It's a show that highlights how geek culture shapes people's lives, and today's people's is Zaid Bun himself, Zaid Motala of ZHM Entertainment. How are you doing, Zaid?
Hey, what's up, you guys? How's it, Giannis? How you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, man. And how's things up there in the north?
Chilly. Like, I thought I saw a White Walker, but it was actually just my neighbor jogging in the morning. So it's like, I'm like, what is wrong with this guy? It's freezing. Why is he doing this?
Some people gotta get their run in there.
That's how my day started out. So I'm just sitting over here with my fat self, and I was looking for Cocoa Pops, so you can see like
Cocoa
priorities.
Pops. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I haven't had Cocoa Pops in years.
Way of saying loves us. No, man, you're missing out. Cocoa Pops are one of the many ways that God shows us that He loves us.
Oh, I see. So Zaid, let the people know a bit about who you are in this moment and the type of stuff that you do in the geek culture space.
Okay, right. So I'm gonna try not to take up the rest of the podcast, like just talking about this. So my name is Zaid. I go by the pseudonym Zaid Bun, and I'm just your average everyday guy who tries to talk about some not so average, not so everyday stuff. So geek culture, as it were. So I do all sorts of stuff. I do a lot of videos. I do some articles. I do a lot of content for my friends at Comic-Con Africa, the guys from Project BM, Cosmic Comics, etc. So basically, I'm just out here trying to impart some of what little I know to the guys who are out there who are coming in, and basically trying to create a safe space for everyone to actually come forth and learn and experience the magic that is, of course, geek culture in the South African context. So I think that's the nutshell rundown.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I enjoy some of the work that you're doing. I think many more of us need to get in there, especially with me with cons, because it's so difficult for me to get out there. The only one that I've been able to get to is our one here in PE, which is Connect.
Oh, okay.
But I'm trying hard to save up to come up for Comic-Con Africa and Rage, because they're like in the same 2 weeks. So I need to try and like book 2 weeks off and come up there and meet all of my content creator friends and geek culture friends. So, like, what are your main geekdoms at this time?
Oh wow! Okay, so I'm going to use broad strokes here. I'm just going to use like very broad strokes. So Game of Thrones right now, definitely. The usual Marvel, DC, Image Comics, those kind of things, and it's kind of difficult to explain because every time something comes out, that I'm like, okay, you need to get into this. I think the obvious one would also be Star Wars. I'm so happy this thing finally foots. So, but look, I'm one of those guys where I wouldn't wanna like classify myself into one geekdom or the other. I just believe that there's so much that we can each identify with the different universes, the different characters and whatnot. So you find a little bit of yourself in each of them. So to actually, especially with what I've been given the platform and opportunity to do right now, just like being sort of like a friend of the cons and a friend of the events and a friend of the fandoms, as it were. I would be remiss in my duty if I were to say that, okay, I'm going to focus on that. But deep down, where it counts, Team Batman. Deep down, where it counts. So we'll put it over there. Represent.
Yeah. Deep down, that's the main one. But yeah, I mean, for sure. Like, I mean, when it comes to geekdoms, like, sure, a lot of people do tend to just pick one and then go deep into it. But like with me, and I'm sure many of the people that I know, it comes in waves. There's ups and downs. Like sometimes you'll be really interested in one thing, sometimes you'll be really interested in other stuff. Like when it comes to me, like tabletop gaming right now is my favorite stuff. So anime, video games, that type of stuff is on a decline, but you never know. Like usually, like December time when I'm back in Durban with my parents and stuff, like that's when the time I just sit in bed and play video games, and watch anime. So it's up and down. So things change. But when it comes to content creation, that's the tricky thing. When it comes to content creation, usually picking one and sticking with it is kind of where people make the most success when they niche down into stuff, which makes things difficult for geeks like us, I think, who are kind of jack of all trades, like a little bit of this and that, and don't really tend to focus. But you've been creating in the geek culture space for a while now, so how's your experience been?
Oh, it's something else, But before I go, I do want. Can I just touch on something that you just mentioned, just to give some context there. On the aspect of not picking one and sticking with it exclusively. I find that I think most of us have ADHD or a form of it.
Yeah.
That all the clubs and the light ADHD didn't really fix up.
All us internet kids, yeah.
Pretty much, and I think the thing is, because now I have so many things that I'm interested in, and I'm never really bored, So what happens is, actually, like now, if we let's take a step back. So Captain Marvel came out. I think it was like a movie a month or two back. No, less than that. So whenever it was, at that point they, got out all my Captain Marvel stuff, read it again, and looked into it. So there isn't a whole lot of cartoons and whatnot featuring her. There's a couple episodes here and there, but you get into it, And now this month Shazam is out, so then now put out all the Shazam comics and look at the movie specials and whatnot. Superman versus Shazam and all of that. So you got something else to do, and then next month Avengers comes. Rather later this month Avengers comes out. So you watch all the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies again, and then the following month, something else comes out. I mean, Hellboy comes out, I think, later this week or next week. Hellboy comes out really soon. And, I'm currently going through my Hellboy stuff again. So by cycling between it, there's always something for you to do. So when I hear that people are getting bored, then I want to give them one of those tight clubs, because I'm like, come on, what's wrong with you?
There's enough to do. Yeah, my backlog just keeps growing.
Exactly. Yeah. I do agree with you, though. I'm going to come to the question you asked you, but something you touched on that really not triggers me, but it really excites me a bit. So I just want to talk about it a little bit. The thing you were saying about creating content, it's really like like a pair of stilts you're walking on, because on one hand, as a creator, you obviously want to create content that people are going to watch, people are going to listen to, or people are going to read. But at the same time, you also want to do stuff that you're passionate about, stuff that you enjoy. Because I think, I see it with a lot of content creators, and this isn't an indictment on anyone, but you sort of see people picking, they find something and they realize, okay, this is the trend, and then they want to crank out a whole lot of content about it, which is fine. But then you see that the heart and soul of that, fandom isn't there, and that's bad. And what that does is it actually ruins it for them in the long run, because people are like, well, okay, you know what? This, somebody who's watching it, let's say, for example, Game of Thrones. I'm currently doing this video series about Game of Thrones, with a recap up until season 8 starts, and I realized that the people who are possibly going to find that are Game of Thrones fans. Now, if I'm not a Game of Thrones fan, and I'm talking about things, and I'm not getting into, what I'm seeing there, and leave the story alone, but the thing behind the thing, then you there's a very real chance that I'm going to lose some followers and whatnot, So that's really something to see. So yeah, that really. And okay, now we can come to the question. Just remind me again what I was supposed to ask.
What has your experience been in
my experience? Yes.
Content creation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, it's been a long road. It's been quite a few years now, and somewhere along the way, it's all like Pokemon. You start out, basic trainee Pokemon, then you evolve a little bit, you become like the middle tier one, and then I'm currently trying I would like to say in the middle tier, and I'm trying to evolve into like a Charizard or a Blastoise or something like that. I should totally get points for knowing my basic Pokemon there. But it's so my
stuff,
experience. Yeah. Hashtag keep it OG.
OG.
But honestly, for me, it's been a very humbling experience. Especially when I think about it, the last year or so. Just a bit over the year, over the year now, because with things like Comic-Con and Rage and Icon and Geek Fest and all the other cons, and there's a long list now. You Connect, as you mentioned, and FanCon in Cape Town. With so much more attention being brought, so much more of a spotlight rather being brought onto geekdom, as it were. People like me now who are in that space. You find yourself connecting with more people. So the reaction that I've had from people, that has been really, really humbling, because I think most geeks, to use the term, would agree that, growing up with having, like these interests, we were talking earlier before we went on about fishing, and like I'm not much of a fisherman, and you mentioned that you aren't either. So now when everyone is going on that South Coast beach trip once a year, and everyone is going fishing, but you want to sit over there now and play with your Power Ranger action figures, or like pretend that you're Batman and all of that stuff, then it's kind of weird. Like it's a bit of a disconnect between you and the people that you are surrounded with immediately.
Yeah.
But now as the geek, basically I don't know what you call it, the geek community. Yes, I think that would be the right one. The geek community here in South Africa is growing, and it's coming more, like more in your face, as it were. Then you find that, okay, suddenly now those same cousins who are big into fishing, they are more like, hey, listen here, can I borrow your Batman comics because I want to read it? And that's my time to say no. Don't go buy your own. But like so it's been really good. It's been really good, very humbling the amount of love and support there is out there. I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So how is it going with your Game of Thrones recaps?
Okay, so I'm actually quite ashamed of myself. So I started, like when I started, I'll tell you, and don't judge me. But here's what happened.
Judgment-free zone. Yeah.
There was this meme going around where they said that, if you start watching from a certain date and you watch one episode a day, you will, finish just in time for the new season.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give myself time to process every episode, process everything that happened in that episode. Because aside from the stuff you see there, like when you're watching it like this, like one episode a night, there's a lot of stuff that I missed the first time around because, like, you watch an episode last week, now you watch it this week, or if you're binging the entire series, you're just pushing to get through all the content for whatever reason, and your mind doesn't have a chance to grapple with the ideas. And so now in the course of this series, I got a chance to do that. I was doing really well at it, and then life happened, between work and traveling, and I have a side business with some emceeing, all the commitments, because it's currently wedding season. I ended up starting to binge again, and I fell slightly behind on the videos. So I've watched all the episodes, and I'm just trying to get that content up and out. And but you know what? I had every intention of watching one episode a day, and I'm ashamed that I fell to the sickness of binging Game of Thrones again. So I am sorry. I binged a lot.
It's tough not to, because it's so riveting stuff.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. If Tyrion dies before the last episode, I'm done with life. I'm just over. It's over.
People are going to die. You have to come to terms with it. They've been doing that the whole show.
Pretty much.
Have you read the books, or do you just watch the series?
No. I have the books, but I said to myself that what I noticed when I started, because I'll be honest, I didn't know about A Song of Fire and Ice until the series started, and I got into the series slightly later than everyone else. And you see in the forums and stuff where guys say, oh, that didn't happen in the books, it's different there and whatnot. So I decided that what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for the series to end, and then I'm going to read all the books, because then I'll have a second bite of the cherry. Because what I'm made to understand is that the books, there's a lot of stuff that they cut out from the like from the series that are in the books. So it's almost like a completely different experience. Like some things are there, the red wedding, the purple wedding, and all of that stuff. That's there. But the way George R. Martin does it in the books is quite different from the way the showrunners on HBO did it. So I'm looking forward to that experience. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
For sure. It's similar with me. I don't own the books, but I want to finish the series, maybe rewatch the series, and then at a later point read the thing, because it's just two different experiences. It's an adaptation, and obviously they're trying to complete a story that's not complete in canon.
Yes.
In the books, so there's really I don't really want to start reading until everything is done with the show. So to go from popular stuff to not so popular stuff, is there anything that you like that's just like obscure that nobody else likes?
Okay, well, to be very honest, I have started. Okay, now, and this is I just the terminology of it. You forgive me for it. So there are a lot of South African creators, a lot of African creators, and so what I started doing was a couple of years back, I was doing this project where I wanted to showcase, South African creators, because I was writing for a website called the Geek at the time, and yes, okay, so I dabbled a bit in South African comic books. So yeah, there's some really, really great stuff up there, and I really hope that guys like Ray, which Bill Masuka, well, he's Zimbabwean, but he has a character called Captain South Africa. K. Carmichael. There's so many of them, to mention, and who are really, really brilliant creators. And unfortunately, their stuff just doesn't get so much of mainstream attention, simply because the platform isn't there. So I'm hoping that as the days go by, with all the initiatives that I currently have going on with the different comic book stores and whatnot, that we'll be able to shine a little bit more of a light on South African content, South African creators. So no, definitely something you want to check out.
For sure. I mean, right now print comics is probably pretty tough compared to decades ago. But it just means that there needs to be an online push, and there needs to be online marketing. Like I had a long conversation after my podcast with Zaid Rahman, the creator of Siriwatu.
Yeah,
and the thing is, like, his
Manga Ziad, he's awesome.
He's a cool guy. His comic is interesting. It's like very well drawn, but like his problem, well, like we discussed it, his problem mainly is that he doesn't do like social media marketing at all, like zero. Most of the books that he sells are at conventions. So like, we had this whole conversation about, you have to make a push for online marketing, even though it's not quite there in South Africa. Doesn't mean, I mean, it's there in other countries, so you just have to market it, differently. But it comes with, just the culture there is today, like we discussed earlier. Like in South Africa, the online culture is not there yet.
Yes.
And the online culture in the West changes so quickly that we can't catch up, and that's the problem. But I don't know what we can do about it. Like, we just have to like bide our time and wait until the infrastructure is better, or something changes. And like, right now there's like weird laws that are being passed, and like, and like,
Can I comment on that?
Sure, you're an attorney, so why don't you let us know your opinion?
Before we get to the law part, just the one point before that, in terms of like how do we get out there and whatnot. I think the bigger problem is that there isn't so much of an awareness of comic books as a whole. I think that's the bigger problem that we have. Like when people, most of the people that I speak to now, when I explain to them about, okay, when I tell them, we put out these videos about Comic-Con and who's coming and whatnot, and when you hear, the only thing you hear about which celebrities are coming, which celebrities are coming, which celebrities are coming. And that is a major part of Comic-Con, yes, and I'm using Comic-Con as an example. I would imagine that all the other shows would have a similar challenge. Because geekdom, and I'm using just a very generic term over here, but fans basically equate, like, for example, Marvel and DC. I'm just going to use the two big boys, as an example. They equate, Marvel and DC with what they see in the movies, and there's nothing wrong with that. But to me, it's basically like having somebody with cataract, walking into a place without their glasses, and there's like major headlights over there, plus they've got astigmatism, So you're basically walking in, like, you have the potential to see, but you're becoming so blinded with all these filters that you have on that you don't realize that there's so much more for you to see, And in the context of comic books now, I'm currently doing a weekly series. It's powered by Cosmic Comics, where we're trying to talk about the biggest things that are happening in comic books every week. We're giving away comics, we're giving away comics to people to get people reading. And I believe that, if these local creators, the local content creators with, make samples of their work, or, do one shots, etc., that talk about their characters, and you can get in touch with people like me and the various other people in the community who will actually try to get the word out there. Then by the time, you see, if people know about it, then the demand will start. And the demand will start, then automatically the distribution means there's an incentive to create it. Because right now, my challenge, my opinion is that, you see, a lot of focus is placed on, okay, how do we distribute the stuff? How do we get the stuff out? But even if you have a means and mechanism of getting something out, who's your consumer? So our consumers at the moment, and myself included, we don't necessarily have the means to access the stuff easily. Now there is a thing, sorry man, I'm being like really off of here, but this is something I'm very, very passionate about. So you'll forgive me just for ranting a little bit here. There's like my friend Jason Masters, and I say my friend because just putting it out into the universe, because Jason Masters is like really just the coolest dude you will ever meet, And he is currently doing a series. It's called Caster, and Common, Common, the celebrity in the US. Common is, is his partner for this day, and this thing is available online, and people just don't know. Now, I'm not going to tell you the full details. Anyone who's listening to this or watching this, you're going to go look for Jason Masters on Instagram. The details will be there in his bio, and you're going to go and you're going to check it out. So that will give you an idea of how we can actually start distributing, using these online platforms and whatnot. And the point that you made, where the stuff is there internationally, yes, 100%. And but I think that, for most of us, especially creators, yes, okay, you want to touch that international market, but the core is over here in South Africa. It's here at home. So there's so many of us. Like, if you went to Comic-Con last year, and again, just using that show as an example, in excess of like 40,000 people coming through there. So that's 40,000 potential geeks. Imagine if 20,000 of them were reading comics, or like this content. The world would change, But yeah, there's a lot of work to be done. But those are some of the things that I think that they need to give some thought to.
Yeah, for sure. I agree that a lot of work needs to be done, but also we have to be kind of creative in how we go about it, because we're in a unique situation where not a lot of people are online or aware, and it's just interesting to discuss and to think about how do we actually get this stuff out of there, because right now it feels like just the content creators just know themselves and support each other, and there's obviously a few fans and stuff, but it's just tough to build like a following, whether you're creating YouTube content, podcasts, comics, or anything. It takes time and creativity, like I said, to do it. Until we get stuff sorted out, with infrastructure and whatnot. So what was your point going to be on the laws?
Okay. Let me take off my glasses for this one here, because I'm gonna need to massage my temples. With that, guys need to calm their farm. just hang on
Calm
a
their
second.
form. That's a new one. I haven't heard that one before.
I wish I could say that was mine. I got a friend Kubesh some years back. He came up with that, and I was just like, hot dang, that's funny. So they just need to calm their farm. You see, there's a lot going on about this thing, and if I can take you back, this whole story broke about like maybe about 2 weeks back, and there was a tweet that went out by someone, and there were a couple of bloggers who took tweets that this guy put out of context, and they wrote this article. Wrote these articles about this is what's going to happen. This is going to happen. It's going to be like, I think it's Article 13 in the US and blah blah blah, whatever. And I'm like, hang on, guys, hang on 1 second, What you need to understand about the law, and again, this is just my interpretation and my understanding of the bill, because I read through that whole damn thing, and you realize that the intention of the bill is more to deal with, and I'm paraphrasing heavily here. It's like I said, it's a very thick document, and we don't have much time. I don't want to take up like the rest of your evening now talking about this thing. Yeah. So, but the core focus of the bill over there is basically regulating the way certain content is out there, and the content, by and large, that they talk about is stuff like relating to child pornography and graphic violence and so on and such forth. And it basically creates like a series of thresholds that come into play, and a series of compliance requirements or compliance hurdles that come into play to basically bring any content out there in line with the minimum standards of the Film and Publication Board, right? So the Film and Publication Board is it's an institution that basically regulates content in South Africa. So like if you look at like movies, for example, you get the age restriction triangle. So in South Africa, the Film and Publication Board actually rubber stamps that. Now what they're doing is, like, with the advent of, and again, just from my understanding, not just of the bill, but the surrounding situation, you look at like streaming services like Netflix, and okay, let's use Netflix as an example. Look at that. Netflix is, it's a paying service. So now you basically subscribe to Netflix. You get an agreement between yourself and Netflix. You download an app, or you on your phone, your TV, I'm pointing in that direction because my phone and TV are there. So you forgive me. And then you have a relationship with them directly. Now, while those platforms actually regulate their content in terms of certain standards, those standards may not necessarily tie in with the South African context. So it's just basically a means of regulating that for the South African audience. And there are some compliance requirements. There are some things that, registrations you have to do and this and that. But again, there's so many processes that are involved in that, which brings me to the next point. You see, normally what happens when there's legislation, I was stunned. I switched my phone off that night because I was just so annoyed by people generally, because everyone was suddenly like, oh no, but why weren't we informed? We should have been consulted. I'm like, bruh, with respect, you have a YouTube channel with 15 followers, your ma, and 14 other people. I sincerely doubt the government is trying to censor you. I sincerely doubt. The act will come out eventually, and there will be regulations, and then there will be set implementation dates. So, like, for example, if you use the CPA, the Consumer Protection Act, when the Consumer Protection Act came in, it basically rocked the stadium basically for everyone, in terms of like what your rights are, what's going to happen, and so on and such forth. And but there were so many things that were suspended until regulations were drafted, and in terms of which that will be, how shall I say, until those things now could actually be implemented. So yes, there is a level of concern as to what's going to happen to the YouTube content creator and what's going to happen to the Twitch team, because the bulk of the people I saw, and this is just an observation based on my, the people that I see in my social media, so it's not the entire population, but just like from the segment that I have access to, it was mainly the Twitch streamers who were getting a bit uppity because now they're not going to be able to show their Apex Legends or Fortnite, streaming sessions. And I'm like, okay, So you think that the government is trying to censor you because you now are not going to be able to stream for 30 hours of yourself playing to get your affiliate status. Really, brother? You know? So, and this again, not to say anything bad about the guys, but I'm like, guys, calm down. Calm down, wait, relax. It hasn't been gazetted yet. When it is gazetted, there will be a process. There will be a process, and there will be a process. Full stop. Just hang on, just wait, and rather, look, research, come up with new ideas. And basically prepare yourself for it. But blind panic, no. Just no. Because again, what the bill, because basically this bill, that's an amendment bill, it's amending the act. There's an existing act, and now it's fine tuning it. But it's basically to broaden it, like I said, with the express intention of dealing with things like revenge porn and dealing with child pornography and dealing with stuff like now where there's so many different examples. Like I said, it's quite a lengthy document, and at the back there, I do have a commentary about like what things mean in the thing. But like another thing that got me upset, not upset, but like a little bit irritated was there were so many people who suddenly were like, okay, you know what, I'm going to go and I'm going to read this thing, and I'm going to write an article about it. I'm going to do a blog post about it, or I'm going to do a video about it. And I was like, okay, cool. But before you do that, understand and accept that this is not an opinion piece that you can write. This is something that's going to have massive implications. So before you go and give a pronouncement as a legal opinion, just be very, very wary that there are, there may be consequences for that. So even the stuff that I'm saying to you now, my disclaimer here is that this is my understanding based on my assessment of the document as it was presented to me, what I was able to access. I could be completely wrong. The point is, I could be totally right. So at the end of the day, it's all relative depending on the narrative that you want to read.
It's kind of still up in the air. Yeah.
Exactly, because when I read that article, those articles, I don't want to name the specific platforms where that was published, but like it gave me an idea of I'm like, oh lordy pie, okay, what happened here? When I read the thing, I'm like, did this brah read the same thing I read? Because you can't read Spider-Man and then realize that, okay, no, but you can't read the Spider-Man comic and then see that, okay, well, what, actually Superman's weakness is kryptonite. That's how wide the gap was between what they were presenting as fact and what the document says. So that's just calm your farm. Hashtag calm your farm.
Yeah. I agree with you on some level that it's up in the air. We don't know. It's just an amendment bill. There's no real regulations. We don't know what that's going to look like. I agree with that. It's just like, I also understand the other side of it. When you put your heart and soul into something, and then suddenly you read these stories, whether they're true or not, it brings out emotions as to your whole kind of motivation about doing stuff. It affects people, and like I also felt a bit demotivated when I heard about it. Then I decided to just not worry about it anymore, wait and see, especially after I saw your Facebook status about it. I was like, okay, this bro probably understands more than me, because I'm a scientist, not a lawyer or a politician or anything. I don't know what the repercussions of this are going to be, but I do know, like, if it does come out in the way that the people who are saying, like, worst case scenario comes out, I don't feel like that's a very smart thing for the government to do. Even though the government doesn't do like the smartest things anyway, but like there's still always hope. Can
I give you a scenario just to give you a little bit of perspective, at least like from where I am sitting. And at the moment, like, I have my glass off, so everything is blurred, so I'm hoping I'm looking at the camera and not like into the distance, But the reality is, this is what it is, right? The post that I'm talking about, they were talking about a fine of up to the amount of 150,000 rand, and potential imprisonment if you're found guilty of an offense.
Yeah.
Right. Now, so what people interpreted that to be, and when I say this, I'm being purposefully mocking, in the way I'm saying this, right? But just hear me out. Listen to the scenario, right? So I am. Let's take a nickname, right? I am Scarface. Okay, I got one Scarface figure over here that I need to unbox just now. So I am Scarface Publishing, right?
Yeah.
I make a video now of doing whatever it is. And now I'm not registered with the Film and Publication Board. I don't have a rating on my video. I haven't sent my video to them for rating, because these are all the concerns that they have. They're like, every video you have, it has to go to them, and they have to give it a rating before it goes on. And how's that going to work in terms of the backlog? Because if, like, for example, if I'm doing a live stream and I have to have a rating on it, let's say all ages, I'm like making like the E sign up there. How do I get that authorization? I'm like, well, in the current state that we are in, it's impossible to do that. So do you really think that, let's say, for example, if somebody goes and let's say somebody finds Scarface Publishing out there, right? They find this video and, oh my God, I have not sent it to them for a rating. I don't have a rating there. I haven't, paid my membership fees. Now they're going to haul me in front of that board now to explain myself, right? Now they're going to explain to me, they're going to say to me now, okay, so Mr. Scarface, you created this content, your content is illegal, right? First of all, I'm like, okay, what's illegal about it? You didn't comply with this, and this. Okay, what was your reason for not complying? But now you will have an opportunity to make representations. And I sincerely doubt that anything, and I'm talking about like guys like you and me now who are making content about geekdom. We're talking about guys now who may be doing like a food blog, guys who are doing the Twitch streamers, all of those there. Do you really think that now you're going to get locked up or something like that? This is not a police state. This is South Africa. It's a democratic state. So, and even then too, there's so many other things that come out. Because, like, for example, if you're saying that you're putting it out there, you have a right to expression. And depending on the content, the content of your content, in other words, what does your content comprise of? You can still argue to say that, okay, it's within my rights as a South African for free speech, and I'm giving a commentary on something over here. So technically, by saying that I have committed a crime by not complying with this, that is tantamount to censorship. And now these are all hypotheticals. But can you see how it's not as simple as saying, and I'm conflating a lot of stuff here simply because I'm trying to take like an elephant and I'm trying to make it into a bite-sized piece because that's what they did with that article. They took this thing and they took Daenerys' dragon, and they tried to make it a puppy. To go back to our Game of Thrones references there. Yeah. I'm like, no gas. That's not going to happen. It's highly unlikely that's going to happen. So calm your farm, relax, sweet. I understand both sides of it. I'm a content creator myself. I'm also concerned that, my couple dozen followers now will die, because I haven't put out my daily Game of Thrones video. I'm also concerned about that. I'm very, very worried that, my passion for this thing and, oh my God, I bought equipment, I've got these fancy headphones and a tripod that I'm using now. Oh no, I won't be able to click on. No, man, please get over yourself. Relax. Government is not out to get you, And I certainly hope the government doesn't make a lie of me because that would suck. But the reality is I'm sensitive to it. I understand where the guys are coming from. Yeah. But you know what? Your concerns are ill-founded, in this reactionist and alarmist, culture that we're creating. We just need to relax. Just relax. There's a long way to go, and there's a long way to go before any of this becomes an issue. And I guarantee you, I'm pretty darn sure that the government is going to go after, if they are going to go after anyone, it will be like the big boys, like your Netflixes and your Showmaxes and your all these other subscription services, long before they decide to come after Scarface Publishing. So just relax, guys. Again, this is just a personal opinion. I could be 100% right. I could be 5,000% wrong. At the end of the day, I'm always encouraging people just to, relax, calm down, understand that there's, my mother always used to say this, in any scenario, there's three versions of the story. There's your side, there's my side, and there's the truth. And now there's a fourth dimension. It's what the media tells you it is. So there's a scenario that happened. There's the way the people perceived it. And then there's what the media told you about it based on the sources that they have and the followers that they have. And I understand that I form part and parcel of the media, but I just feel that in South Africa generally, sometimes guys are a little bit reckless. So excuse me. Excuse me. Yeah. So sometimes I feel that. Thank you. Sometimes I feel that the guys are a little bit reckless, and we tend to get alarmist group of people. So just calm down, relax, relax.
Well,
don't worry about that. Just
the thing is, I mean, you could be right also, but I mean, there's. When it comes to human beings, there's just negativity bias, and we do tend towards just believing or getting hyped up amongst negative stuff like this. So I totally understand the reactions. I felt it myself. But yeah, I mean, it's good to talk it out and think about it, and have a discussion or even debates about this stuff, so that people calm down. You either be optimistic about it or pessimistic, depending on what side you are, and try to find some kind of neutral place that everybody can agree on when it comes to stuff like this. And like you said, it's still up in the air. We don't know. Like, anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
For sure.
I can see again.
So you're cautiously optimistic about this, or optimistic in general?
Always cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
On the thing about negative bias. Yeah, okay. So you'll forgive me, but this is I'm really enjoying this conversation because, I believe that there are some things that need to be said, and maybe I don't need to say it, but I think it's worth saying. The reality is the world is a shitty place as it is, But the truth is we are afforded the opportunity to have a few escapes, and geek culture, this thing that we're doing, that is one means of escape, and this negative bias that people have towards everything. I'm like, no man, don't do that. Don't do that. Because, for example, there's a couple of shows that are coming up over the course of the year. Like I said, there's FanCon coming up, there's Icon coming up, then the Rand Easter show is another show, and they're going to have, a geek-centered, area in there. They fine-tuning that. Then after that, we're going to have Geek Fest, and then we're going to have... There's a whole lot of things long before we even get to other shows like Rage and Comic-Con. And this negative bias, and I'm possibly going to get into a lot of trouble for saying this, but this thing that people have now where they're, oh, no. The cons are trying to con us. Everyone's out to get us, because why would they do that? Oh my God, why would they do that? Because they're putting a con at this date, and another con is moving to that date, and oh my God, why are they doing this? I'm like, guys. Hang on. Just relax. Nobody is trying to take out anyone. Nobody wants to kill anyone. At the end of the day, for so many decades, we were out here like, oh my God, no, South Africa sucks, I hate it, because I just want to cosplay, or I just want to be a geek, and there's nowhere for me to go. And now we have, at last count, I think we had close on a dozen different places that we could go to, and now people are still complaining, because, oh my God, I hate it, because there's so many cons to go to, I don't know where I'm gonna go, because, and why are they doing it? Because I only get paid on that. Shut up, please, man. The dates for Rage were announced months ago. The dates for Comic-Con were announced months ago. The dates for Geek Fest, bloody hell, icon, everything, announced months ago. You won't be able to, you physically will not be able to attend all of them, unfortunately,
You gotta choose your fights,
But you can choose your fights, I mean, you can choose where you want to go. I mean, once again, I'm going to use Icon by the Sea as an example. Icon by the Sea is Durban's little Comic Con, not Comic Con, because Comic Con is an actual brand, so I don't want to use the brands. But it's a convention. Yes. Thank you. That's the best way of putting it. And this thing was announced ages ago.
Yeah.
Now, a month before the thing, the South African habit is that now we'll only go looking for tickets for a thing that we want to attend the week of the thing, and then tickets are sold out, and then we'll go and then we'll start complaining, oh no, but they didn't advertise tickets, and oh no. I'm like, but you knew, you were the same one who was posting and complaining about the fact that, oh my god, why are they having it so close to Easter? I have to go for the Easter egg hunt. Come on, this is, you see, negative bias. I understand that it's a thing, but I think that what we need to do is that we need to confront it. And we need to create this culture where when there is a negative bias to something, to anything really, we all have a collective responsibility to confront it for what it is. Somebody's negative bias. It's not a truth. It's not a truth. It's not the truth. It's not an absolute that, okay, what it's an opinion, you may very well be right. But everything positive is equally compelling. So when we are faced with these things, I think that we need to start and I can't speak for the whole of South Africa, but I can implore everyone in the geek, in geek culture, everyone in the geek community. When you see these things, when you see these alarmist articles and these alarmist posts and these very negative things where, oh my God, I hate everything because everything sucks, you have a responsibility. Instead of liking and sharing that, you have the responsibility to comment over there and say, well, you know what? I'm looking forward to this because, it's another opportunity for me to have a platform to express myself. It's another opportunity for me to have a platform or a space where I can meet like-minded people. It is going to be awesome because ultimately it's all relative. It's all relative. So this negative bias, I refuse to accept it. I refuse to accept it. We need to be better than this. We need to be better than that because every time, think about it from a creator's point. Now, you're a content creator. You tell me this, right? You create a content. You create some content. You pour your heart and soul into it, right? Now, somebody doesn't watch it because it's too long. But the reason why they don't watch it is because they are fighting the data struggle. Now, what happens on your side? On your side, you're like, okay, well, you know what? I made this thing. There's 0 views on it. Maybe I should give up on this thing. Stop it. Now, what happens is, on a larger scale, on a somewhat, for lack of a better term, a higher level, you must remember that there are people and companies who are investing in these different events. For something like, let's say FanCon, for example, that doesn't happen overnight. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that goes into putting that there. Comic-Con, my God, the amount of work that goes into that, it's insane. Yeah. It's insane, And then for what now? Some fan now who didn't make proper arrangements for his transport says, oh no, Comic-Con sucked because I didn't have transport for that. No, that's very unfair to say. So negative bias. Because your experience wasn't necessarily positive, you can give criticism in a constructive manner or you can give criticism in a destructive manner. And I think that what people conflate, they conflate the right to having an opinion with the right or with the tendency to be a douche, and we need to move away from that. So this negative bias thing, big advocate against, pro everything. So just, pro everything is awesome. I don't know if you watched the Lego movie, but it's everything is
awesome. Yeah, I remember that.
Everything is awesome. Really, guys, come on. We need to. We're getting lifetime opportunities, once in a lifetime opportunities happening several times every year. So come on, man, we need to stop this negative bias. So yeah, sorry, my man. I know that I'm just ranting over here.
No, it's good stuff. It's interesting to talk about.
It's so many things.
This is to do with internet culture and human psychology. And
yes.
I agree that negative bias is a problem, but it's also part of our psychology. There's studies being done that show that it hurts much more to lose, a 10 rand bill than you feel happy to get a 10 rand bill. It's just built into our DNA.
But this is the thing. No, right, 100%. But this is the point, right? The thing is, knowing that it's hardwired into your DNA, in inverted commas, right? Knowing that a negative bias is a part of who you are in your base form. Surely, we all say that we are geeks because we are better than the norm. We have this thing, oh, well, I'm not going to go and run up and down and jump on the road over there like my cut farm, because I'm instead going to sit over here and read, read the works of J.K. Rowling, for example, like Lovecraft's works or whatever it is, because I, the intellectual, am beyond that. So surely now, you can't say, and I know that this is not an absolute, but just hear me out. If we are saying that geek culture has now become, right, a form of popular culture after being the former counterculture. I'll say that again. Geek culture was formerly counterculture, but it has now made the segue into being popular culture, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And everyone who was a geek historically, was supposedly that person who was outside of the norm, and we prided ourselves on being better than savages. My wording, my terminology, I used to have this thing where, I'm better than people out there because I read more, I know more about things that other people don't know. I, the intellectual, am better. Right. Again, not universal, but when I was a kid growing up, that is how I justified that I was the weird kid who didn't have all the friends and all that stuff, who wasn't, I don't know if that was your journey, but that's where I found my sense of identity.
Anybody. No. I was on the opposite side. I was very low self-esteem guy.
Where that came from that constant, that constant gearing, to say that, okay, look, they call me weird, they call me a freak. They call me, like somebody who doesn't belong. Well, if you look at every one of the things I was watching Batman and Superman and Ninja Turtles and Captain Planet, and all these things basically said to me, it is okay to be different, right? So at a certain point, to survive, I had to start convincing myself that, you know what, they don't understand you, they don't accept you because you, like Superman or Batman or Spider-Man or the Ninja Turtles or Captain Planet for that matter, you must be better. You must rise above. And if you keep on telling yourself that, okay, you know what, I'm going to be better, and you keep on seeing everyone now rejecting you for that, at a certain point, you got two choices. You got the choice to negative gear, to have your negative bias and say, well, you know what, everyone's better than me or not. Or you could say to yourself, lie to yourself, convince yourself, bluff yourself, do whatever it takes to say to yourself, well, you know what, the reason why I don't fit in right now is because I am doing something slightly better than them. So I think I might have got that wrong when I was explaining earlier, but hopefully now that I've given you a bit more context, I'm hoping you don't think that I grew up thinking that, oh no, I'm better than everyone else. Have I cleared that for you at least?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, right. Okay, now from that thing now, where, okay, the only place I can find belonging is in this geek world, this fantasy world. So this fantasy world is something good. It is my escape from all the shittiness that is life outside.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Now, it implies then that you have to make that choice at a certain point to say that, okay, even though my psychology, like you said, is telling me that everything sucks ass, I need to say to myself that, no, this at least, everything about this is awesome. So it means that you need to suspend that negative bias, you need to suspend that, because that you need to understand that negative gearing in anything is not positive, it's not good. The name says it.
It's in
negative,
the name,
it's negative bias is not a good thing. So if you are finding yourself, you need to check. There's this thing I often see on social media. They're like, check your privilege. I'm like, no, check your negativity, boss. Check your polarity. Hashtag check your polarity. Am I being negative here? When I'm approaching this thing, am I raising, I have some qualms about this thing. Am I upset about it because, there's a valid concern? Or am I upset about it because my negative bias is saying that I need to be pissed off about something? You know what I'm saying? And I think that if we are saying that the way we got into geek culture was to escape the shittiness of everything out there, because we could see that, there's something better for us, there is a space for me to belong, surely it is incumbent upon you to say to yourself, well, let me think now for just 1 second here. I'm being excessively negative about this thing for no damn good reason. So let me be cautiously optimistic. And just like how growing up, and this is just a personal journey, and hopefully it will give somebody some help somewhere. Don't get me wrong, I don't have my stuff together at all. I think we're all fighting some battle. But
everybody's got demons here.
I think it just makes more sense. Life just becomes slightly easier when you take, when you take out the whole woe is me in this thing. You know what I mean? When you're like, okay, I'm going to be cautiously optimistic about this. What's the best possible scenario that can happen here? And let me work towards that. If I'm disappointed, well, you know what? Life is fraught with these little disappointments. There's always something better. Remember we were talking earlier, it seems like a lifetime ago, where I was talking about, you never disappointed, you never bought because this month Captain Marvel came out, next month it's Shazam, and later it's going to be Hellboy. Just like that, even if something disappoints you here, right, instead of wallowing in self-pity about it, you'll be like, okay, well, you know what else is going to happen? What else is coming up? Okay, that's going to be awesome. And if you find that you're not looking for hidden agendas, you're not looking for sabotage at every turn, you'll actually realize that viva la vida, life is actually very, very beautiful. Geekdom, to bring it back on point, geekdom is a wonderful escape if you allow yourself to escape from it. So those guys and girls out there who think that they are being very meta and oh no, I'm woke, I see the world for the ugliness that's there. I'm like, no, bruh, you can't be woke if you're a living nightmare. I refuse to believe that being woke means being a living nightmare. I'd rather blissfully dream and live along my fantasy world that helped me survive my childhood and my teenage years, than be anything else, be this negative person now who's just looking for sabotage everywhere. And you see it every week, there's something new coming out of there, and it's that negative bias, and we just need to move from that, because just let people enjoy things. Let yourself enjoy things. You don't always have to be right. You don't always have to do catch things out and say, just enjoy the thing for what it is. I guarantee you, just give you one more example, I guarantee you there are many people who will go and watch Avengers Endgame in a couple of weeks' time, who will come out and they will have this entire narrative about how the movie was awesome because of this, and this, which is great. And there'll be more people will be like, oh no, but this was wrong with it, that's wrong with it, that's wrong with it. I'm like, bruh, it's a movie. It's a movie. It's 3 hours. It's 3 hours of escapism. That's what it is. If you are trying, really now, people will be like, oh no, it's unrealistic. I'm like, what part of somebody
was realistic in the first place?
Was supposed to be realistic in that? I love Batman, right? So I was a major fan of the Nolan movies. So that was Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Rises, the Christian Bale series. And, everyone was like, yeah, no, it's awesome because it's realistic. I'm like, no, it's awesome because it's awesome. It's not awesome because it's realistic. The entire concept that a guy witnesses his parents getting murdered in front of him, chains for the next 12, 20 years or whatever it was, and then becomes a creature of the night using the millions of dollars that he has available to become a vigilante, is like, okay, nothing realistic about that. You know what I mean? But why do you want to make it? So if it was realistic, to an extent where they made something serious, they're 100%. That's what the modern audience wants. But then guys now would tell you, oh no, but you know what? For such a realistic movie, it was very unrealistic because that scene with the Joker when he was, I'm like, bruh, shut up. Just let people enjoy things, please. So if there's one takeaway that I would like to send out to everyone of the guys, 1.1, calm your farm. 1.2, stop stop being a negative Nelly. At 1.3, just enjoy things.
Yeah.
Just enjoy things. But that's that is going to be my last rant for today. I promise. We can go through like the questions.
It was really interesting. It's definitely I don't think it's a thing people discuss often enough or think about. But it definitely, stuff like this affects your general mood. It's something that a lot of people have to come to terms with. So definitely interesting thought provoking. But let's get on something positive before we end the podcast. So like, what else are you looking forward to in the future besides Game of Thrones and Endgame?
Okay, my man. So like I said, this is going to be a tough one. Okay, tell you what, right? Things I'm really looking forward to is that, okay, so I'm going to be attending the Randy show. I'm going to be doing some stuff there with the organizers for Geek Culture. So, like, by the time this is out, and if the show hasn't already happened, come and check us out there. Happening that same weekend, I think it's FanCon that's in Cape Town. So if you can go there, they've got some amazing artists and whatnot of this. So you definitely want to check that out. Excuse me. I think Icon happens the same weekend as well. So, they've got the World Championships of Cosplay happening. And that one day is where I think you go to Japan if you win. So, like, going to see some epic stuff there. So that's like the next couple of days. Yeah. They're just in terms of that. But like long term, over the rest of the year, like Geek Fest. So, I'm going to be hosting there. So come check me out there. Later in the year, there's going to be Icon in Durban. Icon in Durban, somewhere around there. So we'll definitely go and check that out. And then, of course, there's Comic-Con and Rage coming up later in the year as well. And like this year, just talk about Comic-Con for a second. Can I just talk about Comic-Con for a second?
Sure, man.
Okay, 100%. Right. So last year was big. This year is going to be bigger. It's going to be better. It's going to be more badass, So you possibly know that, we've got Gallagher Estates this year. So I say we because like I want to be included in their party because it's just so awesome. And I can tell you now, like the lineups are already looking amazing. Just some amazing talent coming through. And like last year we learned, I was very fortunate to be involved in the hosting of panels, and we realized what a major anime fan base they use here in South Africa, anime and manga. This year, Comic-Con have undertaken that, they're going to do a lot more in terms of anime and manga. So if you're into that kind of thing, definitely something you want to check out, In fact, like the proliferation of, I'm going to say Eastern media in South Africa is really something, because even the guys from Geek Fest, this year the theme is big in Japan. So that's definitely something like people might want to check out as well, because like there's a lot more focus on these other art forms, so it's going to be amazing. And then on a personal note, like I'm very, very grateful that some of the relationships that I've been building over the years are now like giving me an opportunity to give some stuff back. So like my friends at Cosmic Comics are currently doing a project with me where they're currently doing a project with me where we're doing a weekly rundown of the comic books that will be available at all comic stores that weekend. So, and to make it easier for guys, I'm going to be talking. I have a weekly video that comes out where I talk about, the different things, like, like what you should pick up, what's going up in value, what you should watch out for, like new series are going to be announced, what you should consider pre-ordering, and most of all, the best of all, I think, is that in every episode I'm giving away free comic books. So a lot of the time, it's the stuff that I would have spoken about that, that's projected to go up in value and stuff. I'm going to be giving away copies of that. So you just need to follow on for that. That'll be cool. And then my friends from Project Mayhem, they in Durban, I'm doing some other giveaways and stuff with them. But again, I can't really talk about those exact ones right now because I'm not allowed to. But there's just so much of stuff. So and this is a shameless plug over there, but to all the listeners of the Chewns, come tune with me too. Don't resist. Come tune with me too. Check out my stuff. It'll be pretty cool. I just want, if I can just say, I just want everyone to try to be able to see the world through my eyes. Because honestly, there's just so much of amazing stuff that's happening. So many amazing things happening. beautiful things, beautiful things. And I just want people to like at least be able to see a little bit of it, and hopefully like my thing about like always be cautiously optimistic at the very least will add like another filter that people can use to see all the stuff coming. Like, what a time to be alive, what a time to be a geek. I know that everything seems to be going wrong in the real world out there, but here in our world, in this fantasy world that we occupy, this magical geek escape that we've created, now it's a collective, we are all there together. And if you can just experience something, just suspend disbelief and suspend your negative bias. I'm going to be using that all the time now. It's going to be amazing. 2019 is already shaping up to be an amazing year, and it's just going to get better from here.
Yeah, awesome, man. So it's been really fun talking to you, and I hope you have you on maybe in the future so we can catch up about maybe after Game of Thrones or after Avengers, after the cons, see how things went. But
always happy to chat to you, my brother. Always happy to chat.
Same, man. Same with you. So in the meantime, let our beloved audience know where they can find you on the internet.
Okay, so I'm gonna make it super easy for you, right? Super easy. All you need to look for is ZHM, the letters, second word, entertainment. That's ZHM Entertainment. You'll find me using that on Facebook, on YouTube. On Instagram, you can search for Dart Zady Bun. So Dart as in Sith Lord, and Zady, Z-A-D-Y, Bun as in the thing that you chow. Or the thing that you have behind you, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, so you can find me on all social media. I'm a really, really easy guy to find. And if you see me at any of these cons, you will recognize me by the goofy grin and possibly tears streaming down my face. Because, and no, it's not because I'm crying. I just want to point that out. Like, I think I started like tearing up here as well. Like I have very, very sensitive eyes, so I just like keep on watching. What's funny is like I have like terrible sinuses because you Indian, you know what it's like. When you're born, like what they do is that they start pressing your nose because no, he must get a long thin nose, so we press here, and then they deviate your damn septum. Now every time it's like after the rest of your life, you're like making sounds like that because you can't bloody breathe. What happens now is that like I laugh, and then my eyes will start watering. Oh, no, are you okay? Don't cry. I'm like, no, man, I'm grown ass man. These are not tears. These are my
tears
signs.
Of joy.
So So if you see a big guy with glasses or possibly no glasses and squinty and crying somewhere, it's probably me. Just come and say, hey, what's up? And that'll be pretty cool. So yeah. You now know entirely too much about that. Entirely too
much information.
Way too much. Yeah.
Cool.
But hopefully the ladies will think that I'm the sensitive type. See, it's happening now. Damn it. Okay. I'm doing so well. laugh, and then you start crying.
Alright. So let's end it before Zaid starts crying, yeah. Otherwise, so thanks a lot, Zaid, for coming on. And
my pleasure.
That's it from us here at the Chewns. Remember to leave a like and subscribe and all that jazz we content creators tell you to do. Otherwise, stay geek inspired, stay tuned, and cheers.